Join us in the studio. It's Tamara Brown, Mike Dussault, and Evan Lazar. Guys, we're going to keep what happened in Vegas, moving on to week 7. Mike, when you look at this Bills team, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Josh Allen is the first thing that comes to mind, and the Patriots have lost 4 straight games to him. I mean, he's an outstanding player, and, really, I think the Patriots have been spinning the dial a lot on him, but not to much effect. They haven't really been able to slow him down. They haven't been able to force turnovers. They've got to try to figure out a way to slow him down. I think it all starts with Josh Allen.
Yeah, I call Josh Allen an agent of chaos. He is one of those quarterbacks that just thrives in chaos. And some guys are in-structure guys that need to run the offense and run the system. And Josh Allen's one of those cheat codes that just everything, the defense can do everything right to begin the play. Everything. They can get pressure on the quarterback. They can cover all the receivers. And then he'll just dodge 3 guys in the backfield and make some throw across his body. It's got to be infuriating trying to defend him on Sundays because he can thrive in so many different ways, but those out of structure plays, they're the playground style plays, that's just got to kill a defense.
Mike, you talked about it being Josh Allen. It starts with him, but talk about the cast surrounding him and what's going to be on the plate of the Patriots secondary.
Yeah, well, it starts with Stephon Diggs, who just, no matter how much attention you seem to get him, they find ways to get him the ball. He's an outstanding player. The Patriots have struggled with him. I think you've seen this year they selected Dalton Kincaid. They've had some injuries at tight end, so I don't think they've been able to fully implement kind of a complementary plan around Diggs. I think, if there's one thing you could maybe point to is, do they have those secondary pieces yet? Are those secondary pieces stepping up? Because it still seems like to all go through Diggs. So we'll see what tight ends are able to play this week and if that becomes a bigger part of their game plan.
Yeah, that's exactly what stands out to me as well, is that Diggs has over 600 yards through 6 games. Gabe Davis is having an okay season, but they don't really have a solid number 2 or complementary weapon to Diggs. And I think over the last couple of years, whether it's been running the ball more conventionally from under center or trying to find a guy like Dalton Kincaid in the draft to be a complementary piece, they're trying to make this offense in Buffalo less Allen and Diggs centric. And at the end of the day, those 2 guys are so good that they might be able to just beat you anyways. But it does feel like if there's one way to affect this Bills offense and maybe hold them down a little bit, it's let's take out Diggs and let's make everybody else in this offense beat us. Easier said than done sometimes, but that is a way to beat them.
Evan, you've already started looking at the tape from their game versus the Giants. What worked for the Giants against the Bills? I know in the first half they did a great job keeping them off the board.
Yeah, Wink Martindale likes to blitz. He likes to send a lot of pressure. He likes to play a lot of different exotic coverage rotations and things like that in the back end. So some of those things definitely disrupted what Buffalo is trying to do. There was also a little bit of flukiness. Like there was some receivers getting tangled up down the field and just kind of falling down. There was a fumble by Gabe Davis that ended one drive. But I think what you really look at with the Bills is they get a lot of too high safety shells. Teams are just kind of backing off, playing too deep, keeping the top on the defense and forcing Allen to be patient underneath the defense or forcing Buffalo to run the ball. And as much as they've been able to figure out some ways to run the ball, especially from under center more recently, I think every single time he hands the ball off to James Cook, it feels like a win for the defense. And that's no offense to James Cook. It just means that he's not throwing bombs to Stephon Diggs. So that's better than the alternative. And I think that if you're the Patriots, you have to go with a little bit of a similar approach.
Patriots were able to get that run game going a little bit in the second half. When you look at the Patriots offense, what's going to be the most important thing to be able to get points on the board versus the Bills?
I do think you can run a little bit on this Bills team. Passing on them is tough. They're 5th in the league in pressure rate. They're top 10 in DVOA against the pass. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be a week where they're going to throw for 300 plus yards. And if you look historically, even going all the way back to Brady, they've always had a tough time throwing against this Sean McDermott scheme. It's a good scheme. They play a lot of zone coverage though. And I think if there's one thing that you could look at, typically speaking, you think about zone versus man. In zone, that the coaches are it's their responsibility to get guys open in zone, right? Scheme gets guys open in zone. Against man, it's on the players, right? Just somebody's got to win on one of their routes. So if Buffalo sticks to their current blueprint, which is about 80% zone coverage, that's the 4th highest rate in the league. They also lead the league in split safety zone, so they're a big cover 2 team. If they keep doing that kind of stuff, then Bill O'Brien can find ways to potentially get receivers open. I think the 2 biggest questions are obviously up front. Can you block Von Miller and Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver and a Bills defensive front that's really good? And if they do play a lot of that 2 deep shell and light the box, can you run the ball a little bit against Buffalo? So there's some ways to move the ball, but I would just preface that all by saying it all starts up front as it does every single week, and this Bills pass rush is legit.
Yeah, how about get Kendrick Bourne? Keep it going. I mean, 10 catches last week, career high for him, really involved in the slot. Nice to see. We've all been kind of wanting that, to see what he can do when he gets a lot of targets, so hopefully he can be a part of that.
Those are some keys as you look to this Week 7 matchup between the Bills and the Patriots. For more content leading up to the game, go to patriots.com and Patriots YouTube.